Hello, my name is Kenneth Gordon from the Medical College of Wisconsin in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the United States. And I'm going to be speaking today on Bimekizumab safety over 3 years as a compilation from the phase 3 trials and the long-term extension. As we all know, psoriasis is a chronic inflammatory disease that requires long-term management and is dependent on interleukin-17 family of cytokines for its pathophysiology. Bimekizumab is a molecule that binds both interleukin-17A and interleukin-17F that's been compared to placebo and active comparators numerous times and has shown high level of efficacy. And that efficacy has been demonstrated to extend over at least 2 years. What we want to do is look at the further safety data from what we've looked earlier from 2-year data and extend it to 3-year data from this compilation of studies. So when we look at the Be Bright open label extension study, we have a number of feeder studies that go into that. The Be Vivid, Be Ready, and Be Sure studies, which are the phase 3 trials of bimekizumab and active comparators, including ustekinumab and adalimumab. Patients are entered into the long-term extension after approximately a year and are allowed to keep on going based on their PASI response, with the important information that at 1 year of the open label extension, the patients are all transitioned into Q8-week dosing. As you might remember, the Q4-week dosing, Q8-week dosing is a randomization decision in the feeder studies. And the early part of the open label extension, the Be Bright study, there are numerous safety evaluations that are done in this presentation, including infections, malignancies, inflammatory bowel disease, major adverse cardiac events, evaluation of suicidal ideation, and AST or ALT that is greater than 3 and 5 times the upper limit of normal. The statistical analysis is done 2 different ways, looking at long-term exposure at year 1, year 2, and year 3, and then looking for the total data sets based on the dosing interval, so Q4-week or Q8-week dosing. Importantly, the rates were compared to what's seen in the SOLAR registry, which is a registry that looks at moderate severe psoriasis patients who are eligible for systemic therapy, which is quite similar to the patient population that was entered into the clinical trials. Looking at the adverse events, we can see with increased exposure, we don't see any significant signals in adverse events. Looking at total adverse events, there seems to be, if anything, a decrease over time. Likewise, with serious adverse events tend to be stable within the dosing periods. Adverse events leading to discontinuation actually decrease with further exposure, as with severe adverse events. Thus, the increased exposure with bimekizumab in terms of time does not seem to change our safety profile on a broader scale. When we look at adverse events of special interest, with any molecule that binds interleukin-17, we always want to investigate infectious side effects. And oral candidiasis, which is a known event with bimekizumab, seems to decrease as you go along with increased exposure. In fact, it is suggestive that when you have the Q8-week dosing, there is a lower rate than the Q4-week dosing, and that which is quite critical as we go further out into the study, but also when we think about the dosing of bimekizumab as a Q8-week drug. The most common AEs were nasopharyngitis, oral candidiasis, and upper respiratory infections, but serious infections did not increase over time. And IBD, MACE events, suicidal events, as well as AST or ALT greater than 5 times the upper limit of normal, you see no increase over time. And in those areas, the SOLAR registry can be invoked. You see them, all the issues to be well within the rates one would expect from a similar population of patients with moderate severe psoriasis. So in conclusion, we now have 3 years of data looking at adverse events with bimekizumab. The rates of adverse events do not increase with increased exposure, and in fact, in some cases, seem to be decreasing. These include oral candidiasis, which is a known part of the profile of bimekizumab. Most of these were very moderate and few led to discontinuation. So what we're seeing with increased exposure over time is it seems that the rates of our primary concerns, that is the Candida, are lower in the Q8 week group than the Q4 week group, which is how the medication is generally being dosed.